Hello again, I am Blunty, and today I'll be reviewing a camcorder, but it's a camcorder with a difference. It's not a standard camcorder, it's a little bit different, a little bit quirky. It's this. This is the Luxi, and it is a camcorder with a difference because it is not designed to be used as a regular camcorder. It is designed so that you can capture those moments in life that you would usually miss. Now, as you can already tell, this thing is designed to look pretty much exactly like any standard Bluetooth headset. Well, maybe one from 1992 when they were all still giant and awkward, but the point is still the same. This is actually a camera. Now, because this is a camera review, it makes a lot more sense to show you what it does as well as talk about what it does at the same time instead of sitting here like a stupid talking head. So let's take a look at some stuff I shot with the Luxi. The Luxi can operate in two different modes. The first is what they call Luxi Moments. This is the default operating mode of the device. What it does is constantly record everything it sees to the onboard memory in a continuous loop. What that means is up to the last 5 hours worth of footage is stored on the device automatically, and when the memory fills up, it just loops back on itself, automatically recording over the oldest stuff first. In this mode, your footage is captured at 480 by 320. If you want to put that in megapixel terms, it's 0.2 megapixels. But the idea here isn't to capture broadcast quality video, it's to maximize both the battery life and the storage space. As you can see, you're not getting much detail at this resolution, but it works just fine for capturing those unexpected moments, like a unicyclist in Sydney traffic. There are two ways to grab footage from the continuous video buffer. The first is to simply push the instant clip button on the device itself. This will then take the last 30 seconds of footage and save it to an independent file. Useful, quick and easy. The second way is to use their Luxi Moments app for Android or iPhone, which via Bluetooth will let you select up to 30 minutes of video from anywhere in the buffer to save as a separate file. From this app you can also view and transfer all the instant clips you've saved to the device and even email them or upload them to sites like YouTube. The second mode is what they call the camcorder or Luxi Cam mode. It works in conjunction with a second iPhone or Android app, which is obviously called Luxi Cam. In this mode, your recording resolution is boosted all the way up to 640 by 480, providing much more detail and clarity, and doubles the frame rate to 30 frames per second as well. You can use the smartphone app as a viewfinder and just hit record when you wish to start saving video to a file, just like any other normal video camera. The trade-off for this mode is that you don't get the passive automatic constant recording that you do in the main mode. So unless you're actively recording, if something happens, you can't just go back into the buffer and save it out. If you miss something, you miss something. The battery takes a hell of a hit too. Battery life is halved from up to 4 hours of constant recording to less than 2 hours of recording. But that's still plenty, especially on a device this size and this weight. In either mode, all the video that is recorded is saved directly to the onboard memory, regardless of if you're using one of the apps to control the device. To get video files off the device, you have a few options. In Luxi Moments mode, you can configure the app so that if you press the instant clip button as you would to create a 30-second clip, but hold the button down for a few seconds, the 30 seconds of video saved can be instantly downloaded to your phone, and when it's complete, it is then automatically sent to a preset email address or uploaded to YouTube, Facebook, or even Twitter. You can also use the desktop application to save your instant clips, but from here you also have the ability to save out the entire video buffer into multiple 30-minute video clips. Using one of the smartphone apps as a viewfinder so you can get your framing perfect is a somewhat imperfect experience, simply due to the fact that while it's saving the video to its own memory, it now needs to send that same video information via its Bluetooth connection to the phone. This leaves you with a very stuttery low frame rate preview of the full frame rate video that is actually being recorded. It's not great, but it's better than nothing, and it's certainly good enough so you can get your framing how you want it. Naturally, the lower resolution Moments mode with less data to transmit per frame gives a slightly higher frame rate in the preview mode. As you've been seeing throughout this video, aside from the fact that it's a far cry from even the current crop of high-def pocket cams, the video certainly hits that good enough mark to capture those moments you may otherwise miss. Detail and clarity are acceptable, and the device copes pretty well with lots of movement and broad changes in lighting conditions, although fluorescent lighting will cause some noticeable flicker, as it will with most cams. The audio, however, is not impressive in any way. In both modes, it records a mono audio track at a tiny 8 kHz sampling rate. To put that in perspective, the common accepted standard on video cameras these days is 44 or 48 kHz, sometimes as low as 22 in low-end devices. But 8 is the realm of nasty ear rape. It'll get the job done, but it's not especially pleasant to the ears or accurate to the source. Everything sounds thin and hissy. Like it's at the other end of an old landline telephone. The lens is quite wide, matching reasonably close enough to what your eyes are usually focused on directly ahead of you. This makes it easy enough to learn what is and isn't likely to be in frame when you're not using one of the apps as a viewfinder. And I was surprised to notice there's actually minimal barrel distortion at the edges of the frame, where most cheap wide-angle lenses will bend straight lines slightly. You can also see here that the field of view between modes is slightly different too. These were taken from exactly the same position. And when compared to an untouched still photo from the iPhone 4, it becomes fairly obvious that the colour and saturation suffer a bit on the Luxie as well. The Luxie is noticeably larger than today's average Bluetooth headset, but it still remained fairly discreet when I was wearing it. No one on the street gave it more than one look. Of course, it probably helps that Sydney is one of those cities where no one makes direct eye contact if they can help it. Alright, so there you go. The Luxie, it's a camcorder with some pretty severe compromises in quality that it trades off for inconvenience and uniqueness, and it has, there is no other camcorder on the market that I know that has the feature that this guy does and constantly records everything it sees. And when you want to save something, go, oh, look at that, a dude on a unicycle in the middle of Sydney traffic, bloop, saved. Done. It's superb. Now, as good as it works on a technical basis, there are some improvements that could be made, aside from improving the image quality, which, they'd have to produce new hardware to do, really. They're talking about a firmware upgrade so you can live stream through a service like Ustream and stuff like that, which would be interesting to see. But it's obvious to see, while the design of it is genius, it's brilliant, it's very, very clever stuff, when they were putting it together, I don't think they spoke to anyone who knew much about ergonomics, because I had a hell of a time trying to get this thing to fit on my ear comfortably and sit at an appropriate level, so it didn't sort of point at the ground and I had to do this to take shots and look ridiculous and everything. And it took me several days worth of playing with this thing before I finally mangled it into a shape, because this is all bendable. See, now I've done all my hard work, I have to bend it again. But yeah, this little bit here is fully bendable and adjustable, so you can try and fit it to your head. But it's the way it's balanced, the way it's poised, the sort of limitations to how and why you can bend it, and you can swing the earpiece around so you can go left or right ear as well, which is worth mentioning. But I never got it to fit perfectly. I got it to fit good enough so it didn't slip too much, but you always knew it was there. It's not one of those things you put on, you go, oh, I forgot I was wearing that. You're always constantly aware of it's there, which helps because you're always sort of paying attention to where you're pointed. So, instead of looking at the peripheral vision and stuff, you'll turn your head, and if something interesting happens, you can then record it, which helps, I guess. So is it worth buying? Yeah, it's an innovative, interesting, unique product. It's definitely worth checking out if you have a need for it. If, like me, you're sort of a huge geek and you just love tech toys and you like cameras and different ways to play around, different ways to get images in. Or if you're a parent watching your kid play or sports or running around the park, and, when the kids do wacky stuff, sometimes you miss it. If you're playing with your kid, he says something hilarious, you can, boop, hit that button. It's recorded there. You can upload it to YouTube and make hundreds of people just giggle at how stupid your child is and stuff like that. If you're Australian, like me, you're in a bit of a shit pile, really, because none of the places that sell this, and you can only get it online at certain stores, you have to Google for it to find out, none of the places that actually sell this will ship it to Australia. It's probably because it's a Bluetooth device and it hasn't been certified for use here through the whatever certification company is supposed to do that sort of stuff. Probably some sort of weird legal thing like that, but the fact is I had to go through eBay to get mine, so I had to go through a third-party seller to get mine, which was a huge pain in the ass. And I did contact the Luxie people when I first found out about the product a couple of months ago, and I tried to buy it and nobody would ship it to me. So I went to them and say, hey, when are you expecting them to be able to be available in Australia? And they came back and went, well, we don't really know yet. I said, well, how can I get my hands on one? I'm planning on doing a review. Can you send me a review unit? And they just didn't want to help me. So I had to go through eBay to wind up getting one. So they kind of fail on customer service, but the device is interesting. So make of it what you will. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.